I am Lord Captain Mavic Thorn, Rogue Trader, Warrant of Trade Holder, Coronas Expanse. Speaking into a private personal log, not an official record. Measured, worldly, shaken in a way he has almost, but not quite, mastered. A rogue trader who sailed beyond the edge of known space and found something that showed him what death is for, and why immortality is the real horror. This is my confession. I hold a warrant of trade signed by the High Lords of Terra. That document grants me authority that most Imperial commanders would kill for, the legal right to operate beyond the borders of sanctioned space, to make first contact with Xeno civilizations, to trade in goods that would see other men executed, to sail into darkness that has no name on any chart and return with whatever I find there. The Anastasia Vior has been in my family for 6 generations. My great-grandmother took her into the Coronas Expanse and came back with a hold full of alien artifacts and a crew that had aged 30 years in 18 months and could not explain why. My grandfather sailed her into the ghost stars and returned alone, the rest of the crew simply gone, no bodies, no wreckage, nothing but the ship and a man who laughed at nothing for 2 years before he recovered enough to sail again. I inherited the ship at 24 and I thought, I understand the risks, I thought, the warrant protects me. I thought, I am different from the ones who did not come back because I am careful and clever and I know what is out there. I was wrong about all of it, not about being careful. I am careful. I am the most careful rogue trader in 3 sectors. I was wrong about what the risks actually were. Because the thing I found beyond the edge of the expanse was not dangerous in the way that I had prepared for. It was not something that could kill me. It was something that could show me what killing means. And there is no warrant of trade that protects you from that. We picked up the signal for weeks past the edge of the expanse, in a region of space that our navigator described as thin, her word, not mine. She said the warp runs thin out here, like cloth worn to translucency, not dangerous, just old, very old. The signal was not a distress beacon. It was not a navigation marker. It was not anything in the Mechanicus catalog of known transmissions, which covers approximately 40,000 years of Imperial and pre-Imperial communication formats. It was something older than that. My explorer identified it as structured, deliberate repetition, internal logic, the fingerprint of intelligence. He could not identify the intelligence. He was excited. I should have turned the ship around at that point. Every experienced rogue trader knows the rule. If your explorer is excited and cannot identify the source of his excitement, you leave. I did not leave. I told myself I was exercising my warrant. I told myself that discovery is the purpose of the office. The truth is simpler and less flattering. I was curious. I have sailed the void for 30 years and I had never found something genuinely unknown. I wanted to find it. I had never wanted something so badly in my life. That wanting was the first thing it did to me. Before I ever saw it, before I ever understood what it was. The wanting came first, and I have wondered every day since whether the wanting was mine. It was not a ship, it was not a station, it was not a planet or an artifact or any category of object that the administratum has language for. It was a place, not a location, a place. The distinction matters and I will try to explain it. A location is coordinates. A place is somewhere that has been somewhere for long enough that the being there has become part of what it is. This had been there long enough that the fabric of space around it had learned its shape. Our instruments showed no mass, no energy signature, no thermal reading. Nothing that should have been detectable. And yet the Anastasia Ver's machine spirit knew it was there, pulled toward it the way a compass needle pulls toward north, involuntarily, without reasoning. I put on my void suit and I took a shuttle and I went. My seneschal begged me not to. My navigator wept, which she has never done before or since. I went anyway. The shuttle crossed the distance in for hours. I floated in vacuum outside it and I looked at the thing that was not showing on any instrument and I understood, immediately and completely, what it was. I cannot tell you what I understood, not because I am withholding it. Because the understanding did not come in a form that translates into language. It came as a knowing that bypassed every categorizing function of my mind and landed somewhere underneath. What I can tell you is what I felt. I felt that I had been looking for this my entire life. and I felt that I had always known I would regret finding it. It showed me death, not my death, not death as event, as ending, as cessation, as the thing that happens when a body stops. It showed me death as structure, the architecture of mortality. The way that every living thing in the galaxy is threaded through with the fact of its ending. The way that ending shapes everything the living thing does and is and wants. It showed me the full scale of it. Every human death in the current war zones, every Xeno's extinction, every star going cold at the end of its fuel. It showed me the scope of what dies in a single second of the 41st millennium. And then, this is the part I cannot explain without sounding like a man who has lost his grip on reality, and I ask you to take it as testimony from someone who has never before made a claim he could not substantiate. It showed me what death is for. Not in a religious sense, not as the Emperor's purpose or the Omniscience plan or any sanctioned theological framework. Just the bare structural fact that death is what gives the living their shape. That without the ending, there is no meaning to the middle. That the worst thing it could show me was not death. The worst thing it could show me was existence without it, the shapeless, endless, purposeless continuation of things that cannot stop and therefore cannot mean. It showed me that too. It showed me what immortality actually looks like from the outside. And then it let me go. And I flew my shuttle back to the Anastasia Vior and I sat in my cabin for 11 days and I did not speak to anyone. I am 57 years old. I have sailed the void for 33 years. I have found things in the dark that would end careers and minds, and I have cataloged them and reported them and moved on, because that is what a rogue trader does. I have not reported this. I have not recorded the coordinates. I plotted a course away from that region and I ordered my navigator to excise the relevant section from her charts, and I have not returned and I will not return. Some things should not be found twice. What I carry back is not trauma. I want to be precise about that. I have experienced trauma, the loss of crew, the horror of Xenos warfare, the specific madness of warp transit in a storm. This is not that. What I carry is knowledge, the specific, unasked for knowledge of what death is for. And the corollary, what life is for, by the same logic. I move through the Imperium differently now. I look at the dying, and in the 41st millennium there is always dying within Island. And I do not see waste the way I used to. I see shape, the shape that the ending gives to what came before. I do not know if this is wisdom or damage. I suspect it is both. I know that I am still here. I know that the Anastasia Vior is still sailing. I know that the warrant of trade is still valid and the void is still full of things that have never been seen by human eyes. And I know that somewhere out past the edge of the expanse, in a region of space that is very old and very thin, something is waiting that has already shown me everything I needed to know and will show the next person who finds it exactly what they need to. I hope they are ready. I was not. I am grateful anyway. Thorn found something past the edge that no chart records and no word covers. If that story pulled at something in you, subscribe. Because every week, someone new confesses something the Imperium was not built to hear. And if you want to decide who speaks next, the comment section is your bridge. Cast your vote. The void has been listening to us this whole time. We might as well listen back.